If you're online and you have the chat feature, if you have the chat feature where you're actually chatting with your customers, kind of sort of use that as an organic way to go ahead and survey your customers. And realistically, your customer are always giving you data 24/7.
Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated on providing you the how-tos of marketing and networking strategies. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Networking with Michelle show. I'm your host, Michelle Gourmet. Always excited to be here. Another episode, another show, another great guest. Before I get to that, I actually want to take a moment to share with you a new service that I'm offering. So as you know, I've been podcasting for 2 years. And prior to that, in 2014, I was promoting my book, Network, Navigate, and Nurture. I stumbled across podcasting, started doing some interviews. I did over about 30 to 40 interviews as a guest on other people's shows. And people were asking me, like, how are you coming across these podcasts? How do I get guests for my show? And from that, I have created Podcast Connect, because I'm the connection strategist. And what I'm offering, it's a service, it's like podcasting PR, right? So I'm only focusing on podcasting channels, okay? So basically, if you're an expert or an entrepreneur and you have a new book, product, services that you're offering, and you want to get yourself out there, increase your personal brand, your credibility, your visibility, you want to increase creating content, podcasting is one of the best ways to do it, right? But not everyone has the time or the investment to get it up and running and have their own podcast. So why not be a guest on other people's show? And I want to show you how to do that with Pod Connect. I'm so excited about this. All right. So look, if you're an expert, if you're an entrepreneur, if this is something that you've always been interested in, but you don't know where to start, you don't know what podcast to listen to or to go to, I take the headache out of all of that, right? I get you in front of your audience in the comfort of your home. So it's Pod Connect. Look, if you got questions, if you want to inquire more about the service, I'll be glad to jump on the phone with you. Give me a call, 713-298-5851, or you can email me, info@michellegourmet.com. That's info@michellegourmet.com. Send me an email. I'll be glad to go over all of this with you. Once again, text me 713-298-5851, and I'll give you that information. So that's Pod Connect. Think about podcasting PR. You're an expert, ready to do interviews on other podcasting shows. All right. So I'm glad I got that out the way. Today's guest, very special guy. I met him in the Facebook group with Lamar Tyler, Traffic Sales and Profit. Tieron Spear is an Atlanta-based serial entrepreneur with multiple businesses on and offline, and he is passionate about working with aspiring entrepreneurs to increase their cash flow and sales. The good thing about this dude is that he sells products online through Amazon and Shopify. And lots of times when we're talking about business, we're talking about traditional or even online businesses in the sense that you can work from home. But I know there's people out there that have products. I know there's people out there that are trying to get a second income. And I want to show you those ways. And I thought Tieron was the perfect person to come in and speak on the benefits of Amazon as well as Shopify. And some of the questions I ask him is like, hey, how did you get started? We go into, how do you do market research? How do you do surveys? How do you do a product launch in order for you to get your products out there? As well as, do I go with a manufacturer in the US or overseas? So this is a great interview, real cool cat. I know you're going to like this interview. It's going to give you a whole new perspective when it comes to business and online business, I should add. And the good thing is he's going to be speaking this week at the Traffic Sales and Profit Conference, a live event. I will be there, so I look forward to meeting him and another 200 entrepreneurs in one room under our fearless leader, Lamar Tyler. So yeah, be sure, check him out on Facebook. Be sure to join. look, Lamar's going to have to give me some coins the way I promote his Facebook group. But yeah, be sure to check out Traffic Sales and Profit with Lamar Tyler Facebook group. It's just a dynamic group, like value-based group. I can't say any more than that. So without further ado, Tieron Spear. All right. Hey, everyone. I got Tieron Spear with me today. Tieron, how are you doing?
Outstanding.
All right. So what do you do?
So I'm a serial entrepreneur. So right now I spend my days basically selling products via Facebook ads and Shopify, and also selling products, selling that same product line through Amazon as well.
Okay. So we're Facebook friends. So yesterday it seemed like you got kicked out of the post office. So I guess that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. They have these bins at the post office. And so I pull up there and I basically just dump all of my orders that I get in a day into the bin. So it pretty much fills up the bins. I thought they had more bins in the back. I never knew it was a problem. I never knew it was a problem until I came yesterday, and I'm filling the bins up, and the lady literally stops the line, and she was like, "Excuse me, sir." She was like, "Please stop coming in here filling up the bins, and just take this card, and we'll come pick it up." So I was like, "Okay." I didn't know it was a problem, but she was like, "Nobody else can use the bins, when you finish." I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "Okay." I didn't know anybody else was using the bins.
So how did you get started? I guess, did you start with Amazon first?
I did.
Okay, so how did you get started with Amazon?
Yeah, so my mentor, BL Lewis, I don't think he likes me saying his name, but his name, BL Lewis, he got me started. So I started in SEO, so I started in search engine optimization, and my girlfriend actually had a hair salon. So my background is actually military. So I have a military background, and I also work with a Blackwater Security Group, doing some contract work. And while I was overseas, I came home one weekend and she had this website up. It was actually like a Vistaprint website. And she was like, "If I get this website to the first page of Google, then I'll have customers coming in and blah, blah, blah." So I was like, "Okay, I'll take a look at it." So I went back overseas and kept reading these books on search engine optimization. I was just amazed by the wonders of the internet. We speak about, the world of the internet now. And I was just reading. So I started doing the work, and I just had immediate gratification because once I started applying everything, the website jumped. So that was 2010. Fast forward to 2013. I meet BL Lewis, and he starts to tell me about Amazon and about selling products on Amazon. So, by now I purchased probably every internet marketing product there is. And I was like, okay, here's just another shiny object. And I purchased it, and I still thank him to this day for basically telling me to go ahead and buy that product because it was phenomenal. And so I stayed on the Amazon platform. I still am on the Amazon platform, but right now my primary focus is on Shopify. So that's where I moved to.
Okay, and what products do you have?
I have a hair loss product line. Imagine that. So I have a hair.
I was okay until you.
Right. So I have a hair loss product line. And I don't know if you guys just listening to the audio, but I'm rubbing a bald head here as I'm selling, hair loss products. So it could have been anything, but organically that was a problem that I saw. So, as entrepreneurs, we're big on solving problems. And I saw that was a problem that kept coming through her hair salon. So I suggested that, hey, maybe we may need to create some sort of hair loss or hair growth product line. And that's pretty much what it was. So it started off with vitamins, and then it moved to an oil, and then it also moved to a shampoo line to deal with dry, flaky scalp. And that's how the product line grew. It literally just grew organically, and it literally grew out of necessity.
So the two of you started creating products in the house, in the kitchen.
Well, no. So because the the bandwidth wasn't is there. And I know a lot of people do that, but I just didn't have the bandwidth, and I had a lot of disposable income. So I wasn't even trying to do that. I wasn't even trying to do SEO, but I paid somebody like $3,000, and they didn't do it right. And then as I started learning it, I just saw, wow, I just wasted $3,000. This lady hasn't done anything right, according to the book that I was reading. So I didn't want to go down that path again. So I found a manufacturer that was able to manufacture the product. They had the majority of the ingredients that I saw, and I had them add 2 other ingredients to the base oil product, and then he sent that. And then from there, I was able to find a vitamin manufacturer who had everything and more in the vitamin that they had. So I was able to private label that. And then the shampoo system was pretty much the same thing. They had a strong base, and I just needed them to add a couple more products to it, and then I got that. So I basically did a lot of private label and some custom formula stuff.
So I think I like the progression of this. Your girlfriend had a salon, so I feel like she has this built-in audience that lends to market research,
Exactly.
finding out what the gaps are. You can have a conversation versus the actual survey. Click here, fill this out. But, she can talk to a customer, take some notes.
Exactly right.
So what was that process like? Just the overall research aspect of it.
The research aspect of it was basically digging into a lot of indigenous cultures, because the primary focus was on African American women. And but when you're dealing with herbs and medicine, they pretty much work for everybody. So that's where the focus started. I wanted to look and see where are women, how are women living in countries such as India, Africa, and also South America and in the Caribbean. And what is their hair care regimen? What does their hair care regimen look like? And how have we here in America strayed from that hair care regimen and caused us to have caused us to bald or thin at an early age? And once I started doing the research on that, I basically just started testing and started educating the stylists. And then once I got the product in, we were literally just giving the product away. And it started off with actually cancer survivors. So we had a couple of cancer survivors come through. They started using it. And then we just had other women started using it. And then even the stylists themselves was using it. And the reactions were just that, hey, this is helping me. I'm seeing a difference. The doctor told me that, my hair follicles were dead and now they're coming back to life. So, those were the responses. So I was like, okay, now we have something to take to market. And once I educated myself through a course, I take so many courses, but one course was called amazing.com. And they really taught you a lot about marketing on Amazon. And that course allowed me to find manufacturers that I could find people to bottle and label my product. And that's what allowed me to scale it and bring it to market.
Gotcha. Now, I'm sure there's someone out there listening that be like, look, Tieron, I already work 9 to 5.
Yep.
The last thing I'm trying to do is Google a manufacturer in China.
Right. Right. See, that was the thing. I had everything done right here in the U.S. So there are resources. So you can look for bottling and manufacture. All my resources are in the U.S. So I teach people how, and that is a process. I mean, it is a process to try to vet manufacturers overseas, and then there's cultural issues that you should be aware of. I mean, it's a lot. So you don't have to deal with that. There are tons of manufacturers right here in the U.S. That you can find. Only thing you have to do is go to Google, type in white label products, or white label and whatever the product is, or type in private label and whatever the product is, and that will allow you to find a manufacturer, whether it's a toy manufacturer, hair care, you name it.
From your experience, I'm a Shark Tank lover.
Okay.
Even though I don't have any hardcore products, but Shark Tank always makes it seem that if you're producing anything in the U.S., it's more expensive. So it's best to manufacture or produce anything overseas. What's your take on that from your experience?
Okay, so what this is for those of you that are just listening, I'm sitting here just rubbing my forehead like, with anything you hear, you have to kind of sort of, take it by a case basis. And when you so let's look at Amazon. So let's say we're going to a big thing right now is the fidget toys. And but it could be anything. But what you can do is you can go to Amazon and you can kind of sort of look at what the price point is of a product. And when you start, so let's say the product is $20. Okay. And let's say, so the product is $20. And let's say if you market the product and you're selling ads and you're doing all this type of stuff to make sure people know that your product exists, let's say that cost you $5 per sale. So now you're down to about $15 total. And now let's say that they finally actually charge you an additional $5 for the product. So for every item, you're paying $5 for it, and you're also paying $5 to actually sell it. So now you're in for a total of $10. And that's, $10 is what your total cost is to market the product and to buy the product. But as you can see on Amazon, you can sell this product for about $20. So that means you're going to have $10 in your pocket. If you're okay with getting $10, if you're okay with getting $10 per profit, gross profit still, if you're okay with getting $10 gross profit on your product, then that's fine. You don't have to go to China. But now, so once you know that, then you can kind of sort of use that. You can kind of use those numbers to start negotiating your prices, because you make your money when you buy. You don't make money when you sell. You make money when you buy. So knowing your numbers and what the market is already dictating this price, this product should cost you. That's the key thing. And also positioning. The products that I have could easily be commoditized on the market, meaning that you could buy the product in bulk, or let's say in bulk for, let's say, $10, versus paying for a fraction, versus paying me a fraction of that, versus really you're probably paying me, let's say, 3 times the cost of what you would pay for something that's already commoditized. So let me give you an example so that it's clear. Let's say you were buying, okay, this is a perfect example, milk. So a gallon of milk will probably cost you, I don't know, let's say $5. But when you come to the market with, let's say you have sunflower seed milk that's vegan, non-GMO, so on and so forth, you're positioning yourself totally different from the pus filled, the whole milk that's out there. So you position yourself different so you could charge a higher price point, because you're basically telling people that I'm not feeding you death. Saying you're not drinking death when you're drinking my product. And my product helps prevent cancer and everything else. Meanwhile, the whole milk does this to the body. So you're able to position your product in a totally different way, and it connects with the buyer, and they understand the value that they're buying into. So that's how you help to make sure that your product doesn't get commoditized. And guess what? Instead of you selling a product for $20, you can now sell your product for $25, and you can have $15 gross profit.
Cool. Now, I love surveys. I do surveys all the time for my audience, and I encourage my clients to do surveys. But there's always pushback when it comes to surveys.
Right.
What do you think is the best method when it comes to doing surveys, whether it's an online or a brick and mortar business? Because I know I have friends and clients listening.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, they're going to love this, because I think this is a very intrusive way to do surveys, and so they're very organic. So one, if it's in person, we've heard about the whole thing about ask one question, and you can pretty much have somebody, if they're sitting in your waiting area, you can have the person that's there at the front desk give them a sheet of paper with that one question on it, have them answer it, and then they can just drop it into the box, or they can just collect it from them later if they hand it to them on a clipboard or what have you. So that's one thing. And it kind of helps with the whole experience at your business anyway, because now they're not just sitting there, trying to figure out, I got here at 7, they told me to get here at 7, now it's 7:10, and they still haven't seen me, so on and so forth. So at least you're giving them something to occupy their mind in the meantime. So that's one way. If you're online and you have the chat feature, if you have the chat feature where you're actually chatting with your customers, kind of sort of use that as an organic way to go ahead and survey your customers. And realistically, your customer are always giving you data 24/7. When you position your product and you start putting your message out there or your sales copy out there, and people are still asking you the same questions over and over again, those are questions that need to be addressed in your copy. I think those are questions that need to be addressed in your copy, or they need to be addressed somewhere on the product page where you can have a frequently asked questions or whatever, because those same questions may be preventing people from buying. So that's why those things need to be answered. So in the chat feature, I would suggest that you take note and highlight, have a notepad or something, whoever's talking to your customers back and forth, kind of sort of have them type out to the side, this question was asked 10 times a day, and this question was asked 5 times a day. People want to know if the product does this. People want to know if the product does that. So while you're trying to ask them questions, they're kind of sort of, they're kind of sort of creating a survey for you and already answer, and you're answering the questions of the survey. So it's almost like a reverse survey. So, that's one thing. And then also, if you're a person that's in the chat, they can also ask a question for you. So, it'd be a question a week. So once they finish answering all those questions, hey, how did you feel? What was your, I think this is a pretty broad question, but, what did you think about the website? I think a tighter question would be, did you like how fast the website, loaded? Was this page slow, or, was this redundant? Probably something like that would be better, quote unquote, better questions to ask in your survey, depending on what data you're trying to get.
Yeah, and you can put those metrics in there, because if your page takes 7 seconds to load and they say it's loading too slow, what can I do to shave that off by 2 to 3 seconds?
Exactly. Yeah.
I like it. Okay, so we have Amazon, Shopify, I guess eBay. There's so many online platforms that allow you to sell products. Should we just choose one, or should we be on more than one? Is there, I guess, a cap space when it comes to that as an individual?
So I'm gonna give a simple question, and then I'm gonna give a simple answer, and then I'm gonna give a high level answer. So I guess that's why you got me on here. So I'm gonna give a simple answer, and I'm gonna give a high level answer. So the simple answer is yes, you want to start with one platform, and if I had to pick a platform, I would say Amazon. If a gun was to my head, if I had to pick one, I would say Amazon. Then after Amazon, I would say create your own Shopify store from there, because when you start looking at the numbers, and Amazon takes 33% off the top for every product that's sold. So that's one thing. Then just because you're on Amazon, that doesn't mean that you're actually going to sell a product. So now you have to add on additional money to actually market to the customer on Amazon. So your conversion rate, which means that the number of people that see your page versus the number of people that buy, gives you a conversion rate. And most people say it's typically between 1% to 3%. I like my conversion rate to be between 5 to 10%. Me personally, on my own store on Amazon, the highest I've seen is for me is like 27%. But I know a lady, I think she said hers was at like 37%, something crazy. So that's the type of conversion rates that you can see on Amazon, because people already have their credit card in hand. So those are my quote unquote basic answers to the question. The high level answer will be you have people that are dedicated to certain platforms, meaning that when they purchase stuff online, they only want to purchase stuff online if they can use PayPal. And some people don't even have PayPal, so they want to use their credit cards. So they need those options. And you also have people that are dedicated to certain platforms. If they're going to buy something online and it's not on Amazon, they're not going to buy it. If it's not on eBay, they're not going to buy it. If it's not on Walmart, they're not going to buy it. So what that means is as you have a strong base and you're making money, now you can start to say, okay, I got extra money. Now let me attack another platform. And then now you start placing your product on that platform. You start placing your product on that platform. You start using this payment gateway. You start using that payment gateway. That is the best way to expand without hurting yourself.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm addicted to Amazon. And they messed up and gave me an Amazon credit card. And it's just there. Like they put it upon themselves that this was going to be my primary credit card on the account.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I already had one on file, but
yeah, they went and swapped that out with an Amazon credit card.
Yeah.
Jeff wants to be your uncle. The uncle you never knew you had.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, yes, sir. But you're absolutely right. And I think, but what I noticed once I got the Amazon credit card is that before I buy anything, I will be like, well, is it on Amazon? Like before, I'll just use my, my personal debit card and buy it on whatever, Walmart.com. But now it's like I see myself always going back to Amazon and be like, well, hold on.
Right.
Does Amazon have it? And then I don't hesitate to price match as much because that Amazon credit. This is very sad, but the Amazon credit card is like it's right there.
I love it. First, we wanted to have your credit cards on our store, and now we'll give you the credit card that's built into our store.
Right.
So if you lose your credit card, don't worry about it. We got an Amazon card for you.
Yeah. And then there's still the incentive, apply now, or the initial incentive, apply now, will take, I don't know, 20, 30, $50 off this order. Yeah. And then, after X amount of purchases, it's 5%. Yeah, they got me.
That's what they do. User experience. And I think a lot of store owners, Amazon really is like your model. So you want to, if once you're building out your own store, or if you're building out a theme or anything like that, you want to really look at the user experience on Amazon and try to mirror the incentives and everything else that you can on Amazon. And you just want to kind of sort of apply that to your own store. That's why I love, one, having your own store, because you are Amazon at that point. So you can offer special incentives, you can offer subscriptions, you can do a lot of things, and you control your user data too, which is also very important.
Good point. One thing I did like, I bought something not too long ago, and when I went to check out, they actually have the Amazon payment processor there.
Okay.
And I've only seen one company do that. And I thought, obviously, for me with the Amazon credit card, that was very efficient.
Right, exactly.
And I was like, oh, okay. So me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing more companies doing that.
And I think that goes back to the, and it's interesting that you say that, because I don't even have that option on my store, but I actually need to add that option to my store, because just like we just spoke about, people are loyal to certain payment processors, and one of those payment processors is Amazon and PayPal. So I definitely suggest that you add that to your store. But also be conscious of this too. So I don't want you, everything that you do needs to be strategic and not willy-nilly. So one thing you want to look at is cash flow, going right back to your numbers. We want to look at cash flow. So you want to know how frequently does Amazon pay out once you start using their gateway. Some payment processors will use 2 days. Some people are like 3 days. So that's something that you want to be leery of, especially if you're spending a lot of money per day on advertising or direct response marketing. You may need your money back in 2 days. You may need your money the next day. So that's something to be conscious of.
By chance, are you using Amazon fulfillment centers?
I am. I use Amazon Fulfillment Center for my products that are going to that go to Amazon. But of course, I do my own fulfillment on stuff that comes through my store. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where the post office incident came from.
Well, and that's the thing. I didn't know. I mean, I know you have multiple platforms, so that's why I was asking. Yeah. Now, I don't want to dive too much into this because I know it can be very, very technical. Right. But can you just give us a little bit of information regarding Facebook ads and what's a good starting budget to run an ad and direct individuals to, I guess, their store, whether it's a website or to another store?
Okay. So, wow. Okay. So starting off per day, most people will start off with about $5 per day. The lowest you can start with is $1. From what I understand, the lowest you can start with is like $1 a day, bare minimum. And what you're doing at that point is you're not really technically looking for sales. You're more so just looking for engagement. And when you create the ad, you really want to maybe start off with a page post. I don't want you to boost the page post, but you want to post that to your page, and then from there create ads, go into the ads manager, and then create you an ad that's directed at that page post. So that way all of the social proof that you build up is saved to that page. And then from there, you changed it. You can go back into the ads manager, and now you can create you an ad that's back to that page post, but in the ads manager, it's a conversion ad. So now that you have all of the social proof, let's say the video may have 1,000 views on it, you may have maybe 100, 200 likes, shares, and comments, and all type of stuff like that. Now you can use that ad to now you can show that ad, which is a page post. You can show that page post to multiple people now, and now you can convince them to buy. So now they'll click through to your website and, more than likely maybe start adding things to cart. And then from there, they can go ahead and start purchasing as well.
Very cool. When it comes to sales, whether it's online or offline, I feel like sales are changing. I know I'm still young, but as an older millennial, with corporate experience, it's like the sales process has always been the consultative sales. Do you think that still applies in today's age, the way marketing is?
I think so. I think what most people look at is maybe when they start saying that sales have changed and this has changed. And so I think they're talking about like a broad, maybe like a national or maybe even a global perspective. I think they're speaking from that level. But when you come down to smaller people like us, where we may be impacting, let's say a couple 100,000 people, I don't think sales have changed on that level, because you have so many people out there that are doing it bad that, you have so many people out there that are doing it bad that it hasn't changed. So once you have a proven sales process, I think that process continues to run. I think the only things that change is just relevant images and also words. So, before maybe we used to call a woman, maybe we used to use the word gorgeous, and maybe gorgeous was very effective, or maybe a word like, lit, or, slang word like lit, or another more popular slang word, slay, like Beyonce is using, those words are probably more relative, and those words will probably hit home more. Whereas if you use a word like, she's a classy woman, that may go towards an older group of people. So you have to be conscious of who it is you're talking to. If you're talking to an 18-year-old, or let's say even let's say you're talking to a 15-year-old, and you're like, oh, you're so gorgeous, you're so she's looking at you like, what? She's like, what are you talking about? So I think the words that we pick, I think the words that we use are very powerful, and we want to make sure that they're relative. They're fresh, that's what's been using right now. And another thing too is imagery as well. So you want to make sure again that you're not using black and white images. You want to make sure that you're using current images that people are going to gravitate to. So I don't think sales have really changed, because I'm reading books on sales and marketing, from like 1940, old books. So I'm reading Scientific Advertising. I'm reading David Ogilvy on advertising. I mean, I'm reading these old books, and I'm reading some new books too. So I'm reading Influence, and I'm also reading Cashvertising. So those are kind of sort of my go-to sales and copywriting books. And then from there, I take what they say and I just kind of blend it into today's times.
Gotcha. Now I see you have a water bottling plant in Kenya. Yes,
that's true.
How did that start?
I was again from my military background. I became, while I was in the Marine Corps, I spent 8 years in the Marine Corps, left the Marine Corps, and then I started working for Halliburton. And while I was with Halliburton, I was working in Iraq and in Afghanistan. So I was meditating, and I said, okay, I'm making all this money. When I leave here, I want to make sure that I want to make the same amount of money or even more. So I was in charge of a lot of construction projects there in Afghanistan and in Iraq. I was an operations supervisor, and so I knew how the process worked, from logistics to everything, from A to Z. So so one day I was talking to a friend of mine. He was like, "Hey, we actually have a water issue in Kitengela, Kenya, and if we could set up a water bottling plant, that would be great." So that way we can provide bulk water and we could also provide bottled water to the store. So that's how I started that's how I started that product. So that project started in 2009, and the project was complete in 2012. And again, I didn't have the resources that I needed to really operate and maneuver in Kenya to try to make sure that I didn't, run into any hiccups, but I did. So right now I'm actually working those things out now legally, and I'm pretty much at the end of the court situation that I have with my partner. So there was some issues there with just basic corruption issues. So you have to deal with that too. So when you're going into certain markets, especially anywhere in Southeast Asia and to include Africa, you're gonna deal with corruption. I mean, that's just the lay of the land there.
Yeah, I get it. But very commendable, and thank you for your service for our country.
Not a problem.
As we wrap up, how can people get in contact with you?
You can get in contact with me on my social channels. So you can get in contact with Facebook. So Tieron Spear on Facebook. I'm pretty much just on Facebook. I have a LinkedIn profile as well. But and Twitter, I probably got some other crazy names on Twitter. But so it's not. I'm not consistent because I'm not really branding myself per se, but people are now asking me to speak. Now I'm being interviewed. I don't know where all this is even coming from.
I'm like, where are these questions going to come from?
So I do appreciate it. And I, again, I've made it to a certain level, so I definitely want to give back. And as I continue to grow, I would definitely continue to give back because, again, BL Lewis came back and grabbed me, and also Ayanna Tillman. From the search engine optimization standpoint, he was a mentor of mine as well, and he reached back and helped me. So it's only right that I give back, in the Sankofa way. Yeah.
My final question.
Okay. What
has been your biggest ask in your career?
Biggest ask in my career. I don't even understand that question.
Like, what's that one question you needed to ask? Whether it's the mentorship, a supervisor, maybe a potential client. If they said no, it sucks. But if they say yes, it could be a game changer.
I don't really know. That's a question that I can't even really answer. I don't, because nothing really jumps out. And I don't know if that's because, I don't want to say I'm a loner per se, but if I ask you something, then typically I'll always have some sort of fallback. So, and I think that just comes from the Marine Corps mindset where we expect the best, but we prepare for the worst. So if I'm standing in front of you and if I'm asking you to buy or do anything and you tell me no, I'm just going to. So I don't think there's ever been anything where it's like, if this works out, if you're the means to my success, then that's really a problem for me if you're blocking my success. So I guess I don't have an axe. I guess I don't have one of those things. I guess I don't have one of those things. Yeah. Cause I don't have one of those things, I guess. Yeah. And I guess just so I guess if there's anything to take away from that is it is that mindset that, that the Marine Corps teaches us, which is basically, expect, what is it? Hope for the best and expect the worst. That's what the Marine Corps teaches. So you hope for the best and then you expect the worst. So of course I'll go into a conversation hoping for the best. And then if the worst comes out of it, I've already, I don't just expect the best. I don't just expect the worst, but I prepare for the worst. So if a no comes out of it, that doesn't affect me because I've already built up, so much in the back end that it really doesn't matter. I just move on to something else.
I love it. All right, people, remember, I believe in you. A personal connection leads to an influential network. So thanks for networking with Michelle.